Someone recently said your circle is your ceiling. I was like, huh, I've never heard it like that. I know your net worth is your network or whatever, but I never heard that your circle is your ceiling. I thought that
That's
was
a good one, yeah. And
yeah,
it's true. Like my entire career, I've always like tried to figure out who's doing it the way I would like to be doing it, or
yeah,
who's doing better than me. And it might not even be in the same space as what I'm in, but I started surrounding myself where I want to be and where I
mhm,
picture myself and so forth. And it's not always about money. It's about relationships. It's about good people being around you and so forth. In our industry, there is a lot of shysters out there, and that's a big challenge for the younger generation to kind of guide themselves through. And like I said earlier on the first segment, is find guys that have done it where you want to be. They might be retired, they might be bored. I know a lot of guys that sold that are bored out of their mind, and they're just trying to find a way back into some little aspect of talking to people within the trades. It's amazing to me. I've had lunch quite a few times with certain people that have sold, they're completely out, but they're telling me these ideas that they have, but they can't because they have these non-competes and all this other stuff. But it's pretty amazing to
This episode is brought to you by 10x Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10x Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker. They only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no-brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by Rakowski Law Firm. If you're a business owner or have built a level of wealth, but you don't have your estate plan dialed in, you're exposed. Rakowski Law Firm helps families and business owners protect their assets, avoid probate, and make sure everything transfers exactly how it should. This isn't just paperwork, it's a real strategy to protect your legacy. If you haven't looked at your plan in a while or don't have one, go to rakowskilawfirm.com. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Big Hitters Podcast. I'm joined by Keith Flores, who many people refer to as the HVAC god. At least that's his handle. Keith has some new products he's been working on that are going to come to market. He's a longtime veteran of home services and HVAC, so I'm excited to pick his brain and hear what he's up to. And he's been on a tear with podcasts, so thank you for joining us on ours. Keith, tell us a little bit about your story, man. How did you wind up where we are today?
I'll do it quick. I joined the trades when I was 12 years old, which everybody always kind of is shocked. My brother-in-law asked me to do a side job one weekend with him, and I said, yeah, sure. Rode my bicycle over, jump in his truck. We go to this house, and he throws me underneath the house, and he tells me, do this, this, and this. I rip all the ductwork out. Meanwhile, he's up top smoking a joint with a client, and I'm like, have no clue what's going on, like just doing my thing, and wrapped up the job. And at the end of the day, he told me, hey, come back over tomorrow and I'll pay you. I rode my bicycle back over to his house, and from there I got paid $200. He reaches into his freezer, a stack of cash, and this is years and years ago. Reaches into his freezer, grabs a stack of cash out, pulled out $200, hands it to me, and I right away said, when's the next time I could do this? I was just hooked. I was like, I loved what I was doing. A 12, 13-year-old with $200 cash in his pocket. I didn't come from much. I'm second generation. My family has had a heating and air conditioning company, and uncles and cousins and everybody were involved. It was, new construction, and I fell in love with the trades. I going through high school, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to get out of school as fast as possible so I can go into the trades. And then from there, I was with the family business for a while and got an offer to leave the company and go to work for a retrofit company. And at the time, I was told I'd only make, 50, 60 grand a year top out. And this gentleman recruited me, offered me 20 grand cash to come to work for him. I didn't believe it. Nobody else believed it. that's what bought me my first house, at the age of 20. And I literally stuck with him for a few years, enjoyed the ride. He taught me a lot. Taught me, how you can make some serious money in the trades, and evolution just kept on going. I went from installer to service tech to comfort advisor, from comfort advisor to service manager and I just kept on going and going. And finally, at one point, I just said I could do this myself, and started my first company. I was young, 26, 27 years old. Sold it by the time I was 30. Um, Maybe 31, and had no idea. Never even looked at a P&L before, so had no idea what I even had. Um, and that's when I, joined a large group, big group, and we were all taught how to build a business and how to do the business, and have the P&L, have the financial background, and so forth. And that's where I really learned. There's a lot in this industry, and from there, we were, grew up this business to $1 billion a year, and it was a national company, and I got to learn a lot during those years. And so when I got out, it made a good name for myself as a revenue driver and understanding the back end, the front end. And so I started doing consulting and coaching, which I hate saying consulting and coaching, whatever. But some people couldn't afford me, so we would go into deals where I get 50% of the business, whatever I grew it to. And then from there, I would, have a 2-year deal where I can get out. And at that 2-year deal, I had lots of success. And not all of them were great. My last one was terrible, horrible, horrible exit, but lesson learned.
What do you mean? I'm curious to
Uh,
double click on that.
Well, and I don't mind telling people. I went into a company that the he used to be my salesman for one of my other companies, and his dad handed over this business to him and said, this is a 25-year-old company that's doing 600,000 a year that is working out of a garage, and he wanted to grow it, and he wanted, he was a closer. He was, for me, he was doing about 5 million a year in sales, which is great for a service technician. Um, he broke a lot of records in the airtime world, and we did kind of things on a like an idiot. I knew better, but he was a friend of mine, so I was like, we'll do things like kind of on a handshake. We had papers drafted. We never could get like aligned properly or whatever it was, and we went from 600,000 to over 15 million in a matter of 2 years. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm done with the 2 years. Let's sell this thing. And we had an offer, a really good offer at the time that I brought in. He didn't want to sell. He wanted to keep going at it, which that's how everybody is typically. But they don't understand what it takes to drive the revenue, drive the business, and keep going. Because most owners, I tell them, hey, pay attention to what I'm doing, because I'm out in 2 years, 3 years, and he didn't pay attention whatsoever. So one morning I walked in and he didn't want to sell. I had a great offer, and I was like, all right, forget it then. I'm done. Walked out, never looked back. And probably less than a year later, the company went out of business. And
Oh,
yeah.
thanks.
So it's, for me, my wife was like, you're hating it. You're doing everything. At the time, I was negotiating all our terms with vendors. I was, dealing with Service Titan all the time. I was like every aspect of it, which I shouldn't have been. My deal was 3 days a week. I would come in and boost things up. I had to put my name on a lot of contracts, co-sign for, because they didn't have enough credit or had bad credit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was a tough lesson to learn, but my entire career, I've taken away, good things from each tough lesson. Leaving the family business, that was a tough lesson for me. I should have did it a different way. I should have gave them longer terms and a lot more time to have time to replace. It's an interesting business, but I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. I learned a lot over the years, and to this day, even currently, what I'm doing now, it's for the trades. It's 100% for the trades. It I'm not a do-gooder. I do want to make money. I do like making money. I'm not a green guy either. I drive a F450 dually. Like I'm I'm about the tradesman, and a lot of people will tell me, uh, you know, you wear a suit every day. I don't understand that. Or you go out to jobs ever. I don't like. You can't wear a suit out of jobs. You can't do this. You can't do that. Why not? Why can't I do what I want to do? I mean, this is my. These are my companies. This is my business. If I want to wear a nice suit every day, that's up to me. I just wanted to I think I wanted to really set myself apart from everybody else, and that's how I've always done it. I've always been the outlier that, I'll give it a shot at anything and try really hard and show people that I can do it. I didn't go to
Keith,
college. I'm not college educated or anything like that, but I'm the guy. Like my wealth manager one day told me, he asked me something. He was going to Vegas, and I go, yeah, I don't gamble. He goes, dude, you gamble every day. You're an entrepreneur. You are gambling like crazy. And so, I took a lot of weight from that too. That was another lesson I learned. Like over time, I've learned, a lot. I learned not to be such a hothead. I used to be a hothead. I was like, people say something to me, I'd turn around and snap. Like now I'm just kind of, I built my current company to fund my other company that I'm doing. And my current company, we service a 5 mile radius. We do very well for ourselves. We do we'll say 6 million a year with 10 techs, 11 techs.
hmm,
Um, Keep it really small and tight, but literally we only service a 5 mile radius. I mean,
wow.
people are blown away by that. I do zero advertising. There's no marketing whatsoever. I get my leads every day. I don't have to worry about. I've never laid off a guy. That's my always been my goal in this career. Um, we since the day I opened this company 5 years ago, we've never had to lay off a person ever. Um, can I grow? Yes, I can grow. I could probably quadruple in size this year. That's not what I'm aiming for. I like what I'm doing. I like right where we're at. We're in a great situation. Everybody knows us. We keep our heads down and just grind it out. We don't work weekends very rarely. If the clients want it, great. If they don't, I don't push my guys. I've changed a lot of things. I used to work 6 7 days a week, push my guys to the limit where they're redlining all the time. I'm not that guy anymore. Um, but I also am the guy that will go out there and show a guy how to build a transition or show a guy how to wire up a thermostat, check a compressor, even in a suit. I don't mind going out in the field. I actually miss going out in the field. The best days I have are the days I'm not in the office. It's when I'm out looking at these big projects that we're doing and stuff. So, and it's fun. Newport Beach is a very affluent area. So, like, we're wrapping up the big project. We're probably still another 4 or 5 months away. I mean, it's got, I think, 17 systems on it, 16 systems on it. It's a big house. We get to see these projects that a lot of people in the country never see. I'm from Northern California. I never seen these type projects. 30, 40,000 square foot homes. With shooting ranges underneath the house in city limits. You're like, what? So it's cool. It's a great place to be.
This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team. What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by ExitWise. If you're a business owner thinking about selling your company, whether that's now or years down the road, you need to know what your business is actually worth and how to maximize that exit. That's exactly what ExitWise does. They help you prepare, position, and ultimately sell your business by assembling a world-class team of M&A experts around you, guiding you from valuation all the way through closing. If you want to know what your business is really worth and how to increase that number before you sell, go check out exitwise.com and get ahead of it. Well, talk to us about the new technology that you're developing. Is it some sort of has to do with the thermostat, or is there something else that you're working on?
Yeah, so that's always the biggest question. Is it a thermostat? No, it's not a thermostat. I don't know what type of car you drive, but you can have OnStar for a Chevy, you can have Ford Pass for your Fords, or Mercedes-Benz has MB. I forget what it is, MB Sport. Your house has actually nothing that tells you anything. Your entire home, and I won't throw out names of companies that are currently trying to do this or trying to do that, but I will tell you there is no company out there that tells you ahead of time before things go out. And when I mean by tells you, I can tell you before your air conditioner goes out from either static pressure. I can tell you the electricity draws, the amp draws, the SEER ratings. I can tell you everything real time, what's going on at the house. So from air conditioning to roofing, I can tell you before your roof leaks. I can tell you before you have a slab leak, before you have a leak underneath the counter. I'm gathering all that information, right, with little nodes. A node something looks like something like this. I don't know how well you can see it.
Yeah.
It's just a little node that hooks up. And these nodes are dropped everywhere in the house. It takes about an hour and a half to install a complete system. Doesn't matter how big the home is. It can work on commercial buildings as well. We can go up to 800, 900 feet away through concrete, subterranean. We're not using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. We have our own technology. We can tell you real-time water quality. We can tell you, the SEER rating is the big one for me. That's always been the big one because HVAC is my gig. So I can tell you efficiency real time. I can tell you what the CFM is real time. But what's great about us, and why I bring up a dashboard for a home or OnStar, your car tells you everything that's going on. Right front tires going low, headlights out, time for an oil change. But guess what? The dealership is also calling you, telling you the same thing. And then at the end of the month, they give you a report of how your car did for the month, and the fuel efficiency and all this other stuff. It depends on the different types of cars, but most cars, like a Tesla, will tell you everything. Tells you your fuel efficiency, that type of stuff. What we have came up with and been working hard at for 5 years is building that for a home. I wanted full transparency. So when a homeowner sees their electricity bill, it's typically at the end of the first of the following month, and they have to pay it. It is what it is. It's $500, it's $1,000, $2,000. I talked to a guy yesterday, $5,500 a month is his electricity bill. And he's like, if I could know ahead of time and start telling myself like, hey, I only want to spend $2,000, where's this go? And so that's what this does. It has AI built into it, machine learning, and it starts telling you, hey, you want to set it for $500 a month? Great. $500 a month it is. But then it will start triggering, hey, stop using your air conditioner so much. Stop using your pool so much. And it will start just that way you can stay and start budgeting for yourself. And that's the average homeowner. I just get my utility bills and I just pay it. I don't know where it's coming from, right? But now I have it in my home. I figured out 40% of my electricity bill is my pool pumps. So I sent one of my technicians over, pulled out the 3 pool pumps that we had, and put in variable speed pool pumps. And guess what? It dropped down to 9% of my utility bill. That little thing, it made a huge difference. And we have, quite a few of these installed in friendly homes that, are letting us test them and check them out and so forth. And, one guy, we put in 3 brand new HVAC systems. He needed a 4th one, but at the time he was like, I don't use that part of the house. I don't need it. We installed the system at his house First thing he did is called me up and goes, Keith, give me the fourth system. And I'm like, why? He's all, I'm running at 4 SEER, 3 SEER, whatever it is. I'm like, we told you. That's 15, 20 years old. You live on the sand on the beach. Like, so it sold itself. And then we have another client that just built a home. We did space pack in the home. We hooked it up. Looks great. Everything's running perfectly. But then he looks at his water quality, and his water quality is like dangerous. You know, the TDS is really high, like all this stuff. So he calls me up and goes, hey, what do I need to do to get the water quality? We told him, hey, do this, this, and this, and we can put this in, we can do this. So it's like a retention hub for the client too. So the client's selling themselves. As soon as they get to see it, they're seeing the efficiencies, and they get to see the back end analytics of where we're pulling this from. So all the way down to CFM, that's the difference from us and everybody else. And we can tell you, I can tell you right now, like how many watts my sauna cost me today, or it just really depends what my boat cost me today, because I have a boat on the water that I plug into my dock, and we allocated a node for that because I want to know what's my boat cost me to charge every day. And we can do any size home, we can do any size building, commercial building, residential, it doesn't matter. We've like patented, trademarked it. I mean, we're dialed in. We're getting ready to launch. We're putting out 1,500 here shortly. We're building them out of Houston. So it's not some Taiwanese crap or Timo BS that's off the shelf. Everything's wireless, built in Houston. And we really thought long and hard about this. I have a 27-year-old son, and my son literally plays with the engineers every day. They go out and they figure out like what, because he's a hardcore tech. And he goes out there and says, look, this needs to be easy for me to sell to clients. This needs to be easy for me to install, quick, easy. And the price point has to be great. I mean, we're going to go to market at $1,800, $1,895. That's a UV light. So, and we're covering the entire home before you have slab leaks, That's what I think is the game changer, is besides all, like, we're combining everything together, but then like SoCal Edison wants to give you a full instant rebate. Texas Power and Electric wants to give you a full rebate. Home warranty companies want to give you a rebate.
So it's going to be paid for with rebates potentially. Yeah.
100%, home warranty, homeowners insurance, everybody wants it because we're telling people preemptive. Most like water nodes that are out there on the market currently tell you, after the 2 little prongs hit the water, guess what? You got a leak. Well, ours is taking humidity outdoor, indoor, and when it spikes, that's when we send alert to the homeowner. We send alert to the dashboard. We have an app. We have a back-end app. We have, the contractors looking at a dashboard of all their homes they're dealing with. And so the contractor gets an email, the contractor gets a text message, the homeowner gets an email, the homeowner gets, it's simple too, because like, here's a dashboard right here. There's a place where let me see if I can see it. Air quality.
I'm really surprised with the surge in home, like all the smart home tech and all the smart things you can have with your Alexa and your, Google Home Pro, like that no one has developed something like this.
I'll tell you why. It's millions and millions of dollars, and it is very difficult. I've been through 4 engineering firms that are top-line, top-notch engineering firms. I've forked out, like I said, millions, plus I have investors now. And it is not easy whatsoever, because we built it to be inexpensive. We built it to be, user-friendly. We built it, like everything about it we built was designed for basically a retention hub for the contractor, because
do you have patents protecting, like, from one of the big guys from coming in? Yeah.
We have like Apple, Google, Amazon. They're already infringing on one of our biggest patents. Like, but I'm not going to go and sue them. Like, right? So one of our patents is whole home connectivity. Most people patent the widget. This little widget right here, right? That's what most people patent. But we patent that stuff, but we also patent the whole home connectivity. We also patent our software, how we connect to our software. We've got multiple patents. So I surrounded myself with a lot of people from outside the industry over the past 4 years. Bill Bauman, who was the CTO of REI, Mark Katz, who took Burlington to an IPO. He was the CFO. Peter DeGone, the founder of Keurig. Like I went outside the industries, kind of like asking people different questions and what their thoughts were, and then also, have them help me make the connections and figure out what's the best. Alan Davenport's one of my good friends, and he's, all in going, hey, you need to do this. You need to figure out this. Think about what you're going to do for say like a big home builder, what you're going to reduce their warranty costs, their monthly warranty costs, because those home builders, they own that home for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So if you can reduce their warranty costs from 4% to 2% or 12% to 5%, think about their bottom lines. And we're talking like Pulte, or we're talking the Toll Brothers. These guys are building 40, 50,000 homes a year. That's major warranty.
That's huge. Man,
and so
that's amazing.
One of the big things that we've learned over this is, like, a lot of our customers, we're great at our customer service. I mean, we only handle a 5-mile radius, but we installed, I think, 5 or 6 systems at one customer's house, and we came back to do the service. And one of my guys said, hey, he just bought all new tanklesses and water filtration. I was like, what? Why didn't you ask us? I didn't know you did that. How many times does that happen to contractors? I mean, it happens to contractors all the time. Like, they didn't know that they did electrical. They didn't know they did plumbing. They didn't know they did HVAC. With this is all tied directly back to whoever because we're not going to the consumer. We're going to the contractor. We're selling these direct to contractors. Contractors will go in and install it. They'll have their own logos on the dashboard itself. Everything is, tied to that contractor. So that contractor will have all the information.
So you're not necessarily going to sell these in Best Buy. You're going to sell them to the guy that's using Service Titan. Gotcha. Yeah. Service
Titan, Field Pulse. It just really depends on, I just saw another one the other day. Workies.
House Call Pro is the other one that I've seen.
House Call Pro, yeah. So Service Titan, I'm friends with R&Y for probably 10, 12 years now. They're a great platform. But again, it's one of those things, we're agnostic, so it doesn't have to be a brand new system either. A lot of people, that was one of the things right off the bat we figured out. We thought we dialed in, we were going to launch last year. We put it in my home, and I just put brand new systems in my home. I put the top line systems in my home, variable speed systems, variable speed outdoor, indoor. And all of a sudden we're reading the efficiencies and they're not adding up. And I'm like, so we were able to dial it back a little bit and go through that process, which was a whole nother one. But we can put it in a 50-year-old system or a brand new system now. And that was my goal, and to stay very inexpensive and easy to do. Because if you've ever tech before, if it's on your truck and it's too hard to install, it's going to stay on your truck.
Yep.
So, and then incentivized side, we're going to market $9 a month app fee, $3 goes back to the contractor. So, I talk with Leland Smith all the time. Leland Smith was like, I don't know if you know who that is, but he owned Service Champions. He had 65,000 maintenance clients. He was like, my goal is just to give this away to every one of my clients is what I would do.
Yeah.
And because it's retention. I mean, some clients you don't need to see 2 times a year, 3 times a year. Some clients you might need to see once a year.
Yeah.
We're reading real-time information, gathering real-time data to make wise decisions of what's going on with the home.
This episode is brought to you by Blue Collar Business Advisors. If you're running an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, or landscaping, or any other type of home service business and wondering where all the money is going despite growing your revenue, you need to talk to Paul Maskill. Paul has scaled and sold multiple blue-collar businesses and now helps business owners improve cash flow, profitability, and financial clarity through outsourced CFO services. His clients gain a better understanding of their numbers, build predictable profits, and create a business that supports the life they actually want. One of the things I appreciate most about Paul is he's not just a finance guy. He's been in the trenches as an owner. He understands the challenges of running blue-collar businesses because he's done it himself. If you're doing a few $1,000,000 a year in revenue and want to stop guessing at your numbers and start building real wealth, head over to bluecollaradvisors.com. That's thebluecollaradvisors.com and schedule a discovery call with Paul and his team. Blue Collar Business Advisors, helping blue-collar business owners build financially healthy companies and achieve permanent profitability. This episode is brought to you by Corberry Digital. If you own an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, or home service business and you're tired of wondering where your next lead is coming from, you need to check out Corberry Digital. Corberry specializes exclusively in helping home service companies dominate their local markets through SEO, Google Ads, local service ads, websites, content marketing, and lead generation systems that actually produce a measurable ROI. Their team doesn't just focus on clicks and impressions. They help contractors lower customer acquisition costs, increase qualified leads, and build a marketing engine that scales. What I like about Corberry is they understand the blue collar space. They aren't trying to be everything to everyone. Their entire focus is helping trades businesses win in their backyard and generate more profitable jobs. If you're looking to grow your business, improve your online visibility, and build a marketing system that works, visit Corberry.com and schedule a strategy session with their team. That's Corberry.com. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast. All right, everybody, welcome back. We're back with Keith Flores, and we spent some time on the previous episode with Keith talking about his amazing new product that he is designing and bringing to market, but we didn't get to ask Keith about his experience in the HVAC industry. Keith, I had a couple additional questions for you. You've obviously seen the good, the bad, and the ugly with the home service space. I'm curious to know what do you think separates the guys that scale to 50 million and up from the ones that kind of stay stuck around that $3 to $5 million range?
Fear. It's really, I mean, I truly feel it's fear. I've dealt with it on both sides, and there's sometimes, you just tippy toe to it, and you throw, it's not a luck. So let me back up. It's not a luck thing. It's not this guy's smarter than me. It's not, this guy had more money than me to start up. It's literally believing in yourself. You don't even have to necessarily believe in your team. You have to believe in yourself that you'll find a way to keep going. Because there's dark times for those guys that did, 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, there's times where they're looking at their payroll and it's, a couple $100,000 in the week, and they're going, we got 100,000 in the bank. What are we going to do? It's never a right time, but it's also, I know a ton of guys out there right now that are pitching me to buy their companies or for me to make the intros to sell their companies. And I look at those companies and I'm looking at them going, what? For one, why? You're doing great. You're just stuck. They're stuck in their own way, and they're so fearful of making the mistakes, and they're comfortable. They sit in their comfort zone, and they see everybody else around them blowing up, and they just figure, oh, private equity will just buy us. We're just a little nugget over here, and they'll just kind of consume us instead of just going after it. And I truly feel like I don't pretend to know everything in the trades. I really don't. I know what I'm short on and what I lack, and then I surround myself with better people. And you've heard, some of the greats out there, Leland Smith, Ken Goodrich, Gary Ellicks. Those guys tell you they surround themselves with better people to help them make decisions and to help them through the tough times and not knowing what they don't know. I mean, there's so many different things out there. A lot of people see the flash and the cash and they're like, oh, I want to be that guy, but they don't understand what that means and how much sacrifice it is and what is real and what's not real. And I'm sure you know this, you've seen it before. A lot of these things that are posted out there is rental private jets, rental cars, rental this, rental that. It's not real. It's not real. There is a huge wealth in the industry. To get to that next level, to be stuck in I call it the wall 2, where you're at the 5 million. Where do we go from here? You gotta not necessarily bring in somebody that knows, the next level. You just gotta believe in your team at that point that you're surrounded yourself with that can help you through that. And don't be afraid to reach out to other companies, even in your own area. Most guys are afraid to make those decisions and reach out to people in their own area, in their own backyard. There's guys all around me that reach out to me all the time, and I'm not one of the biggest guys around. I'm not nowhere near any of the biggest guys around, but they'll reach out to me and ask me questions, and I'm in their backyard. Or some of the bigger guys will reach out and ask questions as well. And I to this day, I still reach out to people and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I hopefully... The flip side to it, the other side to it is, if you're 50, 60 years old, you're tired, I want to retire. And if you're running at $3 million, your company's, not worth that much. You're not going to be able to really, truly retire. So if you want to, you got to make a change in your own life, and you got to make a change now. And that is reading up on the successes of others. There's great books out there. If you don't like to read, most of us don't like to read, just throw it in your earbuds and call it good, download a book. I read I listen to at least 2 books a month, at least, if not 3. And it could be it's not all raw stuff. It's how did I get out of this hole, or, what the next level was for them. I love hearing the things where problems went wrong. I like hearing about how they fixed them. And, It just happened to me. I literally, on my hardware and software company, we brought everybody from across the globe together in one big meeting for 3 or 4 days. And that was a eye opener for me, because I've been stuck in this little trench where I'm like, all right, we're chugging along. But when we brought everybody on one room, we understood where we're at. We're ready to go. Let's start shipping. Let's start producing, mass producing. Let's get it to the next level. And it was because I was literally not listening to the experts that I should have been. And what's funny about that is I literally brought my wife into the second day of meetings, and she kicked me under the table, and I knew there was a problem right there. I'm like, we stepped out. She goes, what are you doing? Stop talking over these guys. These guys, in each individual part of their field, they're the experts. They know they can help you get there. Stop.
Yeah.
Instead of just believing in the path that I carved out, I was telling myself, this is more difficult over here. This is too difficult. And so, we walked back in, and literally it was an eye opener for me. It really was. So for everybody out there, that's going to happen. You're going to have those aha moments. You're going to have, like we talked earlier, about having these mentors or gurus and all this other stuff. You got to trust the people that you're listening to. So build yourself around these circles. A lot of these guys that I talk with and I see, they're still talking to the same guys from 20 years ago. They're still hanging out with the same group of friends from 20 years ago, 10 years ago. You can have those friends, but don't discuss business, because if they're in the same spot as you, you'll never get to that next level. You'll never see the pathway. And that's what I see, one of the biggest challenges we have in our industry.
This episode is brought to you by Jonathan Keim and the teams at 360 Commercial Roofing and Top Roof Marketing. If you own or manage commercial property, or you're a roofing contractor looking to grow, Jonathan has spent more than a decade helping businesses protect their buildings and scale through proven commercial roofing and marketing systems. His companies specialize in commercial roofing solutions, roof asset management, and marketing built specifically for the roofing industry. Whether you need a trusted commercial roofing partner or want to generate more qualified roofing leads, check out 360 Commercial Roofing or Top Roof Marketing. You can go to www.360, like 360, commercialroofing.com, and Top Roof Marketing, www.toproofmarketing.com. Someone recently said your circle is your ceiling. I was like, I've never heard it like that. I know your net worth is your network or whatever, but I never heard that. Your circle is your ceiling. I thought
that's a good one. Yeah. And it's true. Like my entire career, I've always like tried to figure out who's doing it the way I would like to be doing it, or who's doing better than me. And it might not even be in the same space as what I'm in, but I started surrounding myself where I want to be and where I picture myself and so forth. And it's not always about money. It's about, relationships. It's about good people being around you and so forth. In our industry, there is a lot of shysters out there. And that's a big challenge for the younger generation to kind of, guide themselves through. And like I said earlier on the first segment is find guys that have done it where you want to be. They might be retired. They might be bored. I know a lot of guys that are bored out of their mind, and they're just trying to find a way back into some little aspect of, talking to people within the trades. It's amazing to me. I've had lunch quite a few times with certain people that have sold. They're completely out, but they're telling me these ideas that they have, but they can't because they have, these non-competes and all this other stuff. But it's pretty amazing to me.
Yeah. That's so interesting. A buddy of mine from church, he bought a landscaping business, not a huge company, like a $1-2 million business. And he says the owner checks in with him all the time. He's like, bro, I'm good. I don't need your help anymore. And he's like, I can kind of tell he's bored. He doesn't have anything to do, but he can't go start his own one. So yeah.
Yeah. I see that being a challenge. I see some of these other guys that kind of come into the business. They get excited about what they're doing. Their exit's amazing. But then what else? What's next? What's next?
Yeah.
What's your next plan? So back to your original question, I think what's holding most guys back and stay in that little range is they won't go out and buy 5 trucks at a time. They won't go out and buy 2 trucks at a time. They'll buy 1 and then see if they can fill that truck. Yeah. Well, if you buy 5 trucks at once, you got payments coming. You're going to go out there and hustle for it. You're going to go out and teach everybody how to do it, or you're going to find the right people to help you through that. And literally, that's how I've always done it. Just recently we bought more trucks, and I didn't want to grow the business. I'm happy where I'm at because I have this other project. We just literally maybe a week ago received our 2 trucks. We ordered them, and I was kind of like, man, why am I doing this again? We keep growing, but we have so many clients that they're sitting around waiting for us. And at some point I got to go, all right, either pass those clients over to somebody that I trust or keep providing the service for those clients.
Yeah. Keith, I know we've seen PE come into the space. I'm curious to hear your take on what the PE-backed companies are getting wrong.
They don't listen to guys like me, for one. They'll be excited to have a guy like me come in and tell them how they can save a little cash here by not looking at this and pay attention to this guy over here and pay attention to this. But I always tell them, the first thing they always want to do is come in and wipe all the top producers out because they're paying them way too much, or change pay comp, right? That's the first thing. Everybody will tell you this, and they'll move the top guys off to the side, and then next thing you know, those guys are gone. Just when they start messing with that, because they look at us as blue collar guys that really should not be making $600,000, $700,000, $1 million a year. As a general manager, they think that they're Harvard graduate young kids coming in through their companies should be the ones that are making that type of money because they spent the time in school. They're smart. We're dumb. And every time I see it over and over and over, those companies go whoosh, take a head dive, and it takes them a year to 2 years to kind of pivot and make that change. I see one right now currently happening. I'm going to meet with the group actually tomorrow, and I'm going to spend probably 2 hours tomorrow with these guys and just try and tell them hey, because they're wondering what happened what did we buy? Like what, it wasn't a house of cards. This was something that they literally should have made the right decisions at certain times. You know, if they feel like they're paying these guys too much, those guys really should step up and explain to them. Let me back up. When a PE group comes in and buys this big company, typically the owner parachutes out, he's happy, but the rest of the team is kind of like, whoa, what's going to happen? And those guys, pardon my French, but start kissing the PE's asses. Everybody that's coming through, like they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to lose their job. So they just kind of go along with the flow. Oh, we're going to change the pay comp for everybody. And you need to take it to the guys and tell them we're going to change the pay comp. It's going to be great for everybody. Versus, hey, if you change the pay comp, this is what's going to happen. You're going to lose guys. They're going to go to the competitors, blah, 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 blah. If you change my pay comp, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to leave. I'm going to, like, not give them ultimatums, but pitch it to them in a proper way. But this is the reason why I get paid is because I answer my phone at 2 o'clock in the morning when, as a service manager, I'm the one answering the phones. I'm the one that's handling this, handling that. PE guys, and nothing against the PE guys, they don't understand this is a human contact, a culture business that you have to keep the culture strong. And if you just plant somebody in that's never done the business and industry before, none of those guys that have been on the front lines for the 10 years, 15 years are going to respect those guys. And I say that every time. I've watched it happen over and over and over. Even way back in the day in the Blue Dot eras, they would come in and wipe all the top guys out and all of a sudden go, what happened? And I was one of the guys that would leave. I was like, all right, I'm not listening to this guy. He knows nothing.
I didn't realize they did that. I mean, that makes total sense. Like they probably, being finance guys, they're looking at these huge checks they're cutting to the commission reps. But I mean, that's the locomotive that pulls the train. I mean, you got to have those guys.
That's like, typically that's the first thing that they do. That's the first thing they start thinking about doing. And then they let the business run for, 2-3 months. And then they keep seeing these big, massive checks going out to, bonuses, to commissions, to whatever else. And they see they're just like, oh, look, if we took this away from all these guys, look what our bottom line does. They don't see it that those guys are revenue drivers, or even the installers. The installers are good producers. They're quick. They're doing their jobs properly. Like all of that. And I can't even count on my hands and toes how many times I've seen PE guys do that. I helped a large PE group 2 years ago make they spent $180 million on this company. And probably for the first 6 months, they were treading water because they couldn't figure out what to do. All the branches were doing different things. Then they fired everybody and brought in their own guys. Nobody respected those guys. So then went the other direction, kept going. They spent millions on advertising, but they didn't have a call center and a call center manager that understood what needed to happen when those calls came in. Then they didn't have the techs, that the techs could go out and run those proper calls anymore. Like, it was a disaster. Recently, they brought in a new CFO that is from the trades, and brought in a call center manager, and brought in all these people. And I talked to these guys all the time, this PE group, and they started listening and started understanding what needed to happen. And now they're turning the corner. Like, it took them a year and a half, and they lost a ton of money, they lost a ton of revenue. But every time, it doesn't matter. Every time, that's what they look at. They look at the pay comp, the pay structures of all the management, and 99% of the time they just look at it as like, these guys why are we paying these guys this? They don't understand the day-to-day operation. And then what's been funny in the past is I've seen, the PE guys lose all the top management, and then they throw one of their guys in to kind of run that beast for a short time until they can find somebody. And those are the guys that always call me right away and go, how do you put up with this shit? What am I gonna do? I don't know any of this. This is like a nonstop. Like, everybody, you're putting out fires every day, and I'm like, yeah, it's called heating and air. It's called plumbing. It's called electrical. It's called, you have so many technicians out there, especially at that size. You have so many technicians out there that broken down trucks and broken down this, and this didn't work, and this this guy's not happy because he's working with this dispatcher today. You know the drill. Like, there's so many different things. You're a guidance counselor throughout the whole process, and you got to get the culture right. Building a strong culture is, I think, one of the biggest things.
Yeah. Why do you think, Keith, out of curiosity, why do you think so many guys struggle to get out of the day-to-day operations of their business? That seems to be a big problem I see a lot with the blue collar guys.
Most blue collar guys think nobody else can do it like they can.
Hmm.
And they're looking at it as, which we should look at it as their wallet. It's their checkbook. It's their money. They want to make those decisions. They don't want some other guy in there making those decisions for them. They feel like they can handle it. They don't want to pay somebody to handle it. I got people that I pay to handle a ton of different things in my personal life and business life. This morning, I brought in my son and I told him, he was telling me that, we have a big project going on, and he was telling me, oh yeah, we sent the guys out. This is the third time going back out to this for the same problem. I said, well, is it our fault? He said, no. I said, what? So the first time we went out there to handle this problem, we took care of it. The second time, the next day, it was their fault, right? Yes. And the third time, it was their fault, right? Yes. So why aren't we sending out a change order or a correction order or something along those lines? He's like, and right off the bat, I said, dude, you got to think about this as being your wallet. And that's what most owners don't tell their technicians. This is their money. This is how I can give you raises. This is how I can buy you new trucks, by paying attention to every last aspect of their decision making. And, I just had a meeting 2 weeks ago with all the technicians in my home service business. And I say, guys, think about this. This is your checkbook. If you're making decisions out there, like going to the parts house 4 times on one job, every time you leave that job, it slows that job down and it's costing me money. So in return, I can't give you a raise. I can't give you a bonus. I can't buy you another truck. You guys got to think about it. And then I asked them, what's that cost? What's that cost the company every time that truck leaves, goes to the parts house and comes back? What's it cost? And most of them think in their head, oh, I'm making $35 an hour, so it's cost, $80. What's that to you? $70, whatever. And I'm like, dude, we've done the math on this before. It's like $300 to roll a truck. You understand that, right? Like, workman's comp, overhead, like all this fun stuff in the middle. And it's not really an hour. It might be 15 minutes away, but you go to the parts house, you eat their popcorn, you eat their donuts at the front, you talk to everybody, you hang out for a while, then you leave and you make a stop here and there. Then it's time for you to get back to work. And next thing you know, you're 2.5 hours in. You might tell me it's 15 minutes away, but 2.5 hours later, and so now I'm down 2.5 hours. Now you slow down the production. Now you push the job out. Now you're going on overtime or whatever it is. Like, there's consequences to everything. And so, I really think that the guys that don't want to let go will never, they're not going to grow. They might tick up, a couple $1 million, but they're never going to grow where they want to be. Most PE guys want a company that before they purchase and make the acquisition, that the owner can leave and go away to, wherever, overseas for the next month and a half, take a long vacation and don't have any interaction. They pay attention to it, don't have any interaction, and then the business can run without them. And that makes a very successful business. It could be a 5 million, it could be a 15 million, a 20, 30, 50. It really doesn't matter. You just want to build a great team around you and be able to trust everybody's making the same decisions. So a lot of the way these guys do it is not private equity, but independent owners, is they build a wealth pool for everybody, so they all start choosing to make the right decisions. My technology business, that's what I'm doing currently right now, is I'm building a shared incentivized program for everybody to make sure, like, people are going to get access to shares in the company on this. So because you want all those guys to also make the proper decisions.
Yeah, I love that. What's one trend in home services that nobody is paying attention to?
AI.
Let's talk about it.
You know, especially the independents can't keep up with the PE backed groups, right? For marketing, for PPC, for like all this other stuff. So I would really highly suggest people start paying attention to what, I don't know, people use Gronk, ChatGPT, whatever. Buy the subscription and start paying attention to what works in your market, your demographic area, and ask it. Ask it questions. Ask what are something's different. It knows all this stuff. There's AI is built in there. Then the other thing is have your technicians out in the field start using AI to do, solve the problems that are, the service technicians are having, or tell your installers, download ChatGPT and take pictures. Hey, there's something wrong with this on startup. This is what I'm getting. It will start spitting out information to you. Guys like don't want to think that there's technology out there that could help them because they're old school or they like their, analog gauges, whatever it is. I don't care, but you're going to get blown by. There is a lot of technology out there currently right now that you can use, even all the way down to putting your schedule into an AI program to help you sort out all your KPIs and who should be running what calls. And I know there's software out there that's currently doing it for the trades as well, but you can use ChatGPT to like every day, once a day, just export all your information from your company into there and start giving you, who's doing what, who's, profitable, who's not profitable. It streamlines everything. So I really like that. I really like the way we don't have enough technicians in our industry right now. So if you start using some of this technology, it'll help you make the right decisions. It'll help you, is this a critical call? And if you send, your worst technician or an installer to go out to do a technician call, you can use ChatGPT, Gronk, and take videos and photos, download it. Hey, what could be, and help you troubleshoot if you don't have enough techs out in the field. If you don't have enough guys, to cover all the service calls you're getting, or vice versa with warranties and so forth. It's been very helpful on our side. I mean, we're not a big company, so I have all my guys on it, and they all use different let me back up. They all use, here we all use ChatGPT, and we run the highest volume of ChatGPT here. And one of the reasons is we have a lot of young techs. I like hiring the younger guys because they don't have, they're not going to fight me on using this type of technology.
The baggage.
Yeah, and what really amazed me was probably about a year ago, my son was at my house, and I have these light fixtures everywhere throughout the house, and I was like, man, I can't figure out what type of bulb that is. And he just took a picture of the light bulb and then put it in his chat, and he looks down and he goes, oh, this is where we could buy it. Do you want to order it from here? And I'm like, just from a picture? Like, it didn't have any specs on it. It didn't have like a tape measure next to it. It didn't have the size. It just literally zoomed in on the bulb itself, and it told him exactly what it was.
Yeah.
That right there is when it really, the light bulb went off in my head and said, hey, let's get everybody to download this.
Yeah. That's so interesting, man. A year ago, I started an AI implementation business, and we don't develop anything proprietary. We don't have some software that's VC funded. We just help business owners implement AI tools. That's it. Because I think that the gap between the user and the technology is where the opportunity is right now. So like the AI receptionist thing, for me, I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? Like after hours overflow, like, of course you want to pick up the phone and talk to a human, but what about 3 a.m., right? Like, what about the weekends? That it's such a slam dunk. And the amount of pushback I've gotten on it, I'm like, dude, you would have no idea. It's not a human. You'd have no idea,
Yeah, we use that. I mean, the guys that are fearful of all this stuff are going to lose. Yeah. They're just going to lose. They'll be dinosaurs, and there is room for them, but they're going to be doing the, $6,000 complete systems. They're going to be the ones that nobody really, they're going to be struggling, broke down trucks, all that. Which, hey, good for them. It's still a good trade. But I really, if they would just get out of their own way and accept that there is technology that can help you. I mean, I use technology all the time, of course. But when I post anything for social media, I use ChatGPT I'll put in a video or I'll put in a picture and say, hey, for Instagram, what should this be? Like how should I explain what we're doing in this? And then I give a little couple lines like what I would put in normally, and then it spits out what it should be. So that type of stuff is like, I really feel like it's amazing to me. And that for us, that's what drives a lot of our company's revenue. For referrals, for that type stuff, we literally try and figure out what the best source is, and then go down that path. All the way down to our fleet management. We put it in ChatGPT now. We used to pay enterprise fleet. What's coming up? What's our next service? So we can start being predictive on it. And it literally will tell you our fleet's all, I think it's all a year, 2 years or newer. So there's not a lot of problems with it, but we put in the mileage, we put in all that stuff, kind of like what enterprise fleet, and I'm sure they're using the same type thing, some sort of AI tool, but you don't need to have some specialized AI tool. You can use Gronk or anything like that because there's so much information out there. Yeah. Which I learned the other day when we had all these guys from all over the world was there is like my hardware and software company, we built in each individual house will be its own smart technology. Most smart technology is kind of like this. It goes, every node that we have has its own built-in AI capabilities. Versus most of the time you're taking that information, you're sending it to a hub. That hub goes to AWS, and then with AI, it kind of formulates, in that area, this is what it should be doing, or it's in those ranges. This is what it should be doing, and then it spits back an average to that house. Versus our house, every house that we put our stuff in is individually for that house. It's not something that goes to a cloud, and then it kind of takes all the different information that it's found all over the place and then brings back and said, the average is this. So it's not what I'm getting at is you don't have to have a specific tool to do the stuff that we're talking about currently right now. If that makes sense. I feel like that's part of the big problem. I remember a few years, now it's probably been 10 years, I told my dad, it's probably been longer than that, I was going to put in a new system in his house, and I told him I was going to put in a UV light and all this stuff in his house. And he's old school. He's like, dude, what do I want? A magical blue light to go in my house? That stuff doesn't work. Blah blah blah. Yeah, been in the trades forever. My brother-in-law, same way. And then we put it in, and he was like, holy shit, this stuff does work. I'm like, people would not be selling it if it didn't. Now, some guys push it harder than others, which that's because they believe in it, but that's the difference. So I want to mention one thing. You brought up where's PE going wrong. They don't believe in their systems. And what I mean by that is every company has a system in place. So then they go to a trade show, the PE guys, they'll send some couple, guys that are numbers guys, and find that one guy that is this group will believe it. They'll throw all the steps of a call, the procedures of a call, and all that away just to focus in on this one thing. And they'll lose a ton of technicians that way because now they just change their whole craft for no reason. If they're already producing, a great EBITDA and they're already hitting all their KPIs. Yes, there should be change, but focus in on what's broken, and then get the company to the employees to buy into it to make that change. These are all simple things that everybody knows. We just don't follow them on a day-to-day basis. When I've had large companies that I've owned or ran, somebody new would come in and say, "Oh, we did this over here." I'm like, I forgot all about that. There's stuff that you forget about because you get locked into that day-to-day operations or the day-to-day. You're thinking about the payroll. You're thinking about who you owe and this, that, and the other thing. And it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon.
Keith, we've talked about a lot over the last two kind of installments here. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that gets you fired up?
Gets me fired up is every day when I look at social media, there's always a post that tells you the trades are going nowhere. That gets me fired up. Like literally this morning I open up and I'm like looking at my social media while I'm working out, and I'm like looking at a couple things and I'm like, bam, it pops up. Number 1 trade not going away because of AI. Plumbing. Number 2, electrical. Number 3, HVAC. Number 4, roofing. Number 5. And I'm like, that gets me fired up. The thing that that really, if any one thing that I can give to people out there right now, the biggest takeaway should be stay on top of your craft. And what I mean by that is read or listen to books as much as you can. Turn off the radio, turn off the news. Stop listening to sports talk because that's going to put you in a funk because your team's the worst out there. I'm a Raiders fan. Jesus Christ, it's hard to be a Raiders fan. But it will get you in a funk. So what I tell all my technicians consistently, read a book, listen to a book while you're driving a call, get yourself excited about what's the future, what's coming. There's so much out there that I'll back up even way back, probably 2009, 2010. I stepped into a role that was a massive company, and one of the first things I did was started doing book reports. And I started making everybody do book reports. And that was like, the technicians were going, what are we doing? Why are we doing book reports? Well, I want you guys all to read this book. And I started implementing it all the time at every location, every time I could get it. And the change was overnight. It was like literally read a book for 20 minutes a day. Change your mindset. What did you learn from this book? What is it? What's helping you? And we'd have literally classes and discussions on it for an hour in the morning, and it got people in a different mindset. As blue collar guys, we didn't get into this trade to go back to school. We didn't get in this trade to go read books and stuff. But it will fix your mindset because you might have a $5 million producer. They go into funks. They go into different because they forget the process, what they're supposed to do. And so by picking up a book and kind of clearing your head, getting your mind right, changes the world for you. And so that's what gets me excited is getting out and talking to these guys about, and I don't have that one book that I can tell you, oh, this will fix you, this will do this, or this one guy will do this for you. It's really up to you. Go out there and search what you like. There's, you got guys like Jocko, you got guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, you got, I just read a book called Built. It was the guy that created the iPod and then ended up inventing the Nest. That's a great book.
That's a good one. I'm gonna add that to my list. I'm in book purgatory right now, so I need a good one.
Yeah, that was a great one. There's one by Elon Musk right now that I really liked, where he was living on the floor of Tesla, and
Is it his biography?
Yeah.
So good, dude. He is a weird dude.
He'd be worth $1 trillion this year,
he can't hold down a relationship to save his life.
No, but you know why? It's because his mind's always thinking. He's always always going. He knows what the potential is, and he pushes everybody to the extreme. I love that about that. If you can have a team around you that's willing to go along with you for that ride, that's awesome. And there's a ton of books. Closers 1 and 2. It's an old book by Ben Gay III. You can't even get it on audio. You'd have to hand read it. But there's just so much out there, and the guys that think they know it all, good luck. There's so many good guys out there. And the other thing is, what I'm excited for is watching. I don't know if you know Ben pool, but he has HVAC tactical. He does these tactical awards for HVAC. He does really good with that. I like what he's done. He's a younger guy, and he's built a platform basically for guys to show off their stuff on social media. He's built a platform where like once a year that everybody gets together for AHR, and he has these awards, which is a black tie event. He does like what I'm getting at is I like the social media aspect of where it's going, and these guys are uplifting. They're not just bashing. You get the bashers out there. You got what's that one HVAC hacks or whatever. You know, that's the worst thing for our industry. We shouldn't have that. They should not have that. What they should be doing is uplifting. Hey, a lot of times when I see something wrong on somebody's page, I go, hey, dude, in a DM, next time do this, this, or this. Yeah. Don't blast, put the guy on blast. And that's what a lot of these guys like doing. But you see more and more uplifting guys. Like there's a kid that last year I saw, and I sent him a bunch of stuff. Trades over college. I don't know if you follow him, but he's a young kid. I got to meet him at AHR. Young kid, very aggressive. And he literally just got into the trades like a year ago, started this account, Trades Over College. He chose a trade over college. And he literally just started explaining, you know, doing like an Instagram post every day about like where he's going, where he's been, what he's doing. And I think it's spectacular. He's probably got 20,000 followers already. If not more. There's a lot of opportunity out there is what I'm saying. Like for the younger generation to get involved, to see some of the stuff, you know, Jeff Dim, I don't know if you follow him. He's another guy that's got probably 200, 300,000 followers. He does these insane installs that I don't know how long it's actually taking him to do these installs, but if you look him up, you go, oh my God, look at these installs. You know, he's got diamond plate behind the equipment, and he's got, you know, LED lighting up the equipment, and it's insane. It's insane. So those are the things that get me excited.
That is one thing I love about the trades is the guys are just so willing to share. You know, it's interesting. Like, so I have a company, it's a virtual assistant staffing company, and I'm dying for a mastermind. If somebody had a mastermind for this particular kind of business, I'd be in it, you know, and there's just not. And that's like how you get better, you know, and it's weird. Like some of the other owners I've reached out to is like, hey, do you want to just be in like a group chat or something? Can we do something? And they've been like weirdly, you know, like kind of want to, you know, protective, like hide their cards in a way. I'm like, that's how we get better. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. So I love that about the trades.
I love it about the trades right now, sharing, you know, there's so much out there. I got to get back more to, you know, I used to do a lot of giveaways, and it wasn't for, you know, the follows. It was more for the younger guys that couldn't afford the stuff that, you know, as they're starting out. And I get a lot of free stuff all the time. So like to give that away, I don't need a new Sawzall. I don't need a set of gauges, you know. So I like giving that type of stuff away. I think, you know, giving the tidbits of information and explaining to people, you know, you shouldn't run this way and this way. That should be done through like a DM and give your explanation of why. And if they take it, great. If they don't, so be it. That's on them. But I like the ability to share the stuff. You know, so many times I think it's gotten way better over the past couple of years, but you know, way back, you know, just to call it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you'd post a picture of your install and I would see guys just bashing the heck out of each other. And I'm like, man, that's not how it's supposed to be, guys. This is to elevate and get you to the next level. I love how they have now the HVAC on ESPN. Is it ESPN? I think it's part of ESPN where they have the install, best installs in the country, and ESPN puts it out there and they do, you know, the quickest install or whatever it is. I think that's amazing that they're doing that now. There's just so much. There's so much to be excited about the trades. The best thing about the trades right now, and that everybody should be excited that are in the trades, is there's a lot of money to be made. You know, like robots are not going to take it over. AI is going to help us, but there's no way we're going to get taken over by the robots and, AI chatbots and all this other stuff, just because you have to have that experience going out into the field. You got to be able to climb up in the attic. You got to be looking at it. You got to be hands-on. And that's what it really, truly excites me about the trades. There's unlimited money up there. There really is.
Keith, dude, it's been such an honor having you on the show. I'm so pumped for the product to come to market. Where, if people wanted to learn more about you and what you're up to, where can they go?
Everywhere, man. You can go to, Instagram, HVAC God on Instagram. You can go to my LinkedIn, Keith Flores. You can go to Facebook, Keith Flores. We have websites, hghomeguardian.com, hvacgod.com. hghomeservicesco.com. There's just a ton out there.
Yeah.
You just put my name in there along with HVAC God, and you'll be able to find me.
Yeah. That's pretty unique calling card there. So
yeah, and did we talk about that?
No, we didn't.
Okay, everybody thinks I'm like big headed. Oh, this guy thinks he's the shit, and this, that, and the other thing. It was not that. It was I was really young. I was walking across a parking lot, and a technician. Me and him were really good friends. Walking across the parking lot, he had got Jesus on the back of his service truck. And I kind of chuckled and I looked at it and I said, "You got Jesus? If you're Jesus, I'm God." And he laughed about it. We both kind of laughed about it. Probably about 5-6 months later, a license plate showed up. This is back when you can order custom plates.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to be assigned to a car. And he ordered me HVAC God. And ever since then, I've had it, I literally have had it for probably, I was, 19, 20 years old when I got it. And then I ended up trademarking it and copywriting it and all that type of stuff. But it was started off as a joke. Then for a while in my younger years, I thought I was, in my 20s, I thought I was, I'm the best there is, blah, blah, blah. But now it's stuck with me. And I think it's funny because a lot of people, will go, "What's the HG stand for?" And then I tell them, and then they're like, "Huh." Some people get it. Some people go, "Oh, you're too cocky and arrogant." I'm not for you then.
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife came up with every one of our vans, every one of our cars has powered by HVAC God Inc. And it's real small, but I always thought that was funny. I literally think it's for me. Look, it's even on my suits. My suits are all custom made.
That's sick.
Every one of them has that in there. But anyways, that's where that came from.
Well, Keith, can't thank you enough, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking, but thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.